What's up, Flare Fishing fam? John B here with another banger! Today we're back out in the salt scene, so we're gonna try to make the most of today's little fishing mission and go after some redfish. And we're also gonna be shooting some stuff for Free Range. Free Range is the company that we own. It's a coffee company. They make some of the we make some of the dankest coffee in the world. That's audited, everything, you know, that's the truth. We've got Tree Line, Early Morning Bite, we got Freedom Roast, we got Speed Goat. How many other ones do we have? We got quite a few. I think we got 4 different roasts. And eventually I think we're gonna get K-Cups too. But if you guys like coffee and you just need it in order to get started in the morning, like myself, check the link in the description below, get some for yourself and just get all riled up. Yo, Wes.
Yo, John.
Let's go get them. So I'll catch you guys out in the shred. Catch you guys out in the shred, does that even work? I'll catch you guys out in the salt. See you shortly, hopefully with a big redfish in my hand. Big reds, that's what I'm looking after today.
Left side, left side.
Yep.
Good shot.
Yes! That was so gnarly. Oh, epic. Not too shabby either. Pretty decent one.
Under the water. Little guy, but there's a lot of those.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what size they are when they eat on surface like that. It's just like super freaking intense. Oh my goodness, bro. That's what's up. Come here. Oh, chill. I got you. Yes. First ever redfish on Topwater. Today we're switching up a little bit. We're noticing a lot more fish during the flood tide are eating on the surface, meaning they're just barely kind of sucking at little shrimp and stuff like that. Yeah, they're just slurping it in. And today we switched to a floating gurgler fly, which looks just like a little topwater shrimp deal. I'm like, holding my breath, my heart's pounding. I'm just like shaking in my knees. And then as soon as they freaking eat on surface, that's when you're just relieved, you strip set, and it's just all freaking business from there. I love these reds. They're just so similar to bass. Let's get him back though. All right, you take care now. Let's go mess up some more. Yeah. Yeah. Whew. That actually got me shook, dude. I am shaking, yeah. Oh, she's right in front of us. She's right in front of us. Right in front of us. Oh, God. Oh, 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 oh. Dude, she was too close. I like ran out of space. I ran out of space. She was right there. Dude, he was going after it. He was like wanting it. If I had like an extra foot, I might have been able to actually stamp that one with the freaking gurgler. There's like a few challenges here, you guys, for those of you watching at home. One of which is you have very little visibility. You can really only see these redfish when they expose themselves, when they come up and they feed on the surface or when they stick their tails out of the water. Other than that, you really have a hard time seeing them unless you're like right on top of them. Perfect example, we thought that fish was going up the creek arm, but he was actually going up, then did a horseshoe, then turned it right back towards the boat. I'm not sure if you got a glimpse of that fish, but he was right in front of the nose. Tough to get him when they're that close.
I got one right here.
Where?
9 o'clock in the creek, kind of where it starts to bend.
Right there?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna push you. Go ahead. Left, 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 left.
Right there?
Yeah. Come on, towards that. Put it right down. Go.
Got him. Yep. There's two. Oh my gosh. According to Wes, there was 2 fish on my gurgler, on my topwater bait. And this one bumped the other one to grab it. It's just a redfish eat redfish world out here in the marsh. This one might be just a little bit bigger than my last fish, just a little bit. I love how we like switched it up. Like we started day 1 showing you guys how we catch these fish like in the really, really thick stuff using the little tiny crab shrimp flies. Now we're doing strictly surface. It's really cool to see the compare and contrast that you can catch both these fish. I want to show you guys something really quick though that Wes was telling me. Take a look at this mouth real quick. First of all, look at where that fly is at. He annihilated it. But take a look at this mouth. When I open that mouth up, just tell me what direction is that facing? Primarily downwards. These fish's mouth morphology is designed to kind of grub on the bottom. They're eating crabs, you know, bottom dwelling bait. but that doesn't keep them or stop them from eating on the surface. Whereas like a bass, their mouth opens up completely in a giant O. So these guys really have to work hard to get surface. These guys have to work really hard to eat, you know, surface forage like mullet or, you know, some sort of topwater shrimp. So they actually go up and over the gurgler. The way they eat is just really epic because they have to put a lot of force into it. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that kind of side bit for you. Time to put him back in the grass. Look what he spit up. That's exactly what they're eating. If you don't know what that is, it's a little tiny crab claw. It's really small though. The redfish are eating tiny bait right now. Let's put them back. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's him right there. I see him. No! I set the hook way too early. Yeah, I get like the nerves get to me. That was probably my best cast. I felt like, yeah. Dope beats, big jeets, good eats. Oh yeah, that's a redfish. Yeah, I got this. Yeah! Oh no! He broke me off, bro.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. Oh, it was a lot bigger than I thought. Snapped me clean.
Oh, dude, that shot.
Dude, look at where my hand's at. I'm like, I strip set the out of that guy.
Dude, that shot is so money.
I'm tweaking right now. Woo. Hopefully we got that on slow-mo footage. It's crazy. We've got a big system going right now. Wes finds the fish, Bryant films it, and then I hopefully catch it. That was a scenario in which it was a lot bigger fish than we actually thought. Take a look at this. Can you guys tell me where my fly went? Oh, wait. Yep. That eat was vicious, though. Super epic. I mean, it sucks, but it's also pretty badass. All right. Sick. Hey, yo. Thanks for everything, homie. Man, that was so much fun. I will see you later. Thanks, guys. Hey, drive safe. And that is all she wrote. I'm back at the airport right now. This sucks. I gotta leave. This was a very short trip. It was like a day-and-a-half trip, but we tried to make the most of it. Probably some of the coolest footage I think this channel has seen when it comes to like slow-mo, fish eating a lure type stuff. I mean, that was just like unbelievably epic. Before I sign out and just jump on this plane and head to the next big adventure, I wanna let you guys know that this is not the end. Tomorrow, or I guess today, I'm in Florida, and then tomorrow, I'm on the complete opposite end of the United States. I'm going to Alaska. It's like, couldn't have picked a farther destination from where I'm at now. Let's cut to the chase. I wanna talk about this thing right here, This right here is what saves me on so many trips. I don't know if I get asked this a lot, but I get asked this a decent amount, enough for me to kind of mention in a video. That main question being, John, how do you travel and fish and bring your rods along with? Now, I've been doing this whole YouTube thing for quite some time, and I've probably been hardcore traveling for about 2 years now. I could not count how many flights I've been on this year. It's just a disgusting amount. And a lot of the times it's tough because I usually have to rely on other people's equipment, and quite frankly, I don't like doing that. I want to use my equipment because if it breaks, you know, something bad happens, I feel responsible for my own stuff. So the answer to the question is you have to finesse it. There's a few different ways you can do it. One of which is you can bring the giant bazooka tube that everyone has seen that's on the big wheels. It's heavy, it's clunky, and it just sucks. It's just absolute for a couple of reasons. One of which, it's not a sure way to keep your rod safe. I know a lot of people probably think, oh, I mean, it's in a heavy duty case, it's not gonna break. But here's the thing, TSA is able to open that up at any point in time. And because they open it up doesn't mean that they're gonna put it back together. So many times I've had my rod tubes open up and they just don't put it back together. So it actually ends up breaking the rods. Like the tube itself will break the rods because they didn't like reconstruct it correctly, if that makes any sense. It's not a very good solution. So then after that, I started doing a lot of trips where I didn't bring any stuff, which kind of sucked because then I wasn't able to use the equipment that I wanted to use. So I stopped doing that. And then as of recently, I've just been carrying my rods onto the plane. Now this only works sometimes depending on the airline that you're with. The airlines that I usually fly with are United and American. Those are the two main ones. I rarely ever fly anything else except those two. Now they have a couple of rules, especially when you buy cheap tickets. One of those rules is you can only bring one item if you're basic economy, which is this big bag right here. And oftentimes they give me shit for bringing this big thing, but this is like everything I need. This is my camera gear and my computer and all that stuff. So it makes it difficult to bring this on the plane. So here's what I do. If I'm flying on an airline that's like super stingy and I feel like I'm gonna get busted with and they're gonna make me either throw this away or not bring it, I'll use my bag to kind of incorporate this. So it's like technically one package. So I use these little side loops right here to slide the actual rod case in there. And that makes it seem like it's one whole thing. Now, this doesn't 100% always work. It's a decent way, not a foolproof way. But one thing I like to do is when I'm about to board, I'll kind of put it to my waist like this. I know this is extreme, but I'll literally put it to my waist the opposite direction in which the ticket counter is at. So the individual who is checking my ticket doesn't see it. So that's basically it. That is the long method in which I use to travel with my rods. I always bring two-piece. I can fit about 3 rods in this favorite Lunkers TV rod case. So anyway, I know that was really long. This is the longest outro I've ever filmed, but I wanted to share that tip with you guys because I've been doing it for the past few months now. I've had no problems with it thus far, and that's how you jinx yourself. That is it. I'm peacing out. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. As always, folks, keep fishing, never stop.